You're not ready for this. The View just went absolutely berserk last week over the election loss, literally screaming over each other, trying to toss around the blame. So what set off this on-air drama? It's when Alysa, Farah, Griffin, and Sarah Haynes dared to have a rare moment of sanity, setting off Sunny Hostin like an explosive. Just take a look for yourself and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
I think that I'd like to reframe the conversation. I think Bernie Sanders is wrong. I think the more relevant question actually is, what is wrong with America? I think what is wrong with our country that the Republican Party would choose as a candidate and support a candidate who is an insurrectionist, who is an election denier, who is someone who is twice impeached, 34-time convicted felon, someone who has been accused of alleged sexual misconduct by 26 women, found liable for sexual abuse. What is wrong with this country that they would choose a message of divisiveness, of xenophobia, of racism, of misogyny, over a message of inclusiveness, a message for the people, by the people, of the people. That is what the problem is. It's the Republican Party.
But can I say something before? We can do a second. The Democrats are the ones, they are the party that cares for the blue-collar voter. The Democrats are the ones who put in Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, union protection,
ACA,
unemployment insurance, and Obamacare. The Republican Party doesn't give a rat's patootie about
clearly
it.
They didn't convince the vote.
No, Sonny, you've got it completely backwards. Nearly 75 million people in America voted for Donald Trump, not because of that list of attacks and talking points she listed, but despite them. And if that's the case that Donald Trump has won the popular vote in this election, which he's never won before, what does it say about the current Democratic Party in the eyes of the voters? For anyone with a brain, that should shock them and make them look into a mirror of political introspection. If Trump is a loser and a con man, what does it say about the Democratic Party to have lost to the man twice now? Even worse than the last time. By the way, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell because we're not afraid to turn the mirror to the current political establishments. Now, surprisingly enough, since there wasn't Whoopi Goldberg present on this panel to act like the captain of the ship, I think both Sarah and Alysa felt more comfortable saying the quiet part out loud in front of Sunny Hostin, even though it stung her a bit.
There is a
condescending?
The way that the left speaks to its voters. It really is.
A message of joy and inclusiveness?
No, the message of not being educated, being dumb, and what's wrong with America.
Who said that?
Sunny just did.
What is wrong with America?
My point here is that
that's not what Kamala Harris said.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
My point is, I don't blame Joe Biden. I don't blame Kamala Harris. Go back as far as you want. I blame a messaging within the Democratic Party.
You don't blame the Republican Party
Can I just finish
at all?
my point, please? I obviously have a problem. Anyone has a problem with Donald Trump. The bigger question should be, yes, Sunny, why did they vote for him?
Yes.
In sweeping...
So they need to be introspective.
No, we need to be introspective. If we voted for Kamala Harris, we need to say, what didn't resonate with the voters? Do you know what didn't resonate with the voters? When they were saying we don't feel safe, and the left focused on defund the police and bail reform.
Yeah.
When they said we're worrying about... Can I just finish? Let me just finish real quickly. When they were focused on
It's only an hour show, ladies.
Joy. When they were focused on renaming schools, there were people saying, hey, students are destroying colleges. I paid for that. I sent them there. They can't learn. And everyone apologized for it and didn't want to attend to it. They also denied the border was a crisis and kept saying, no, it's fine. This is not a...
There was a border bill, though. There was a border bill.
Yes, but Joy, my point is they screamed and screamed and screamed. They didn't vote for him because he's a racist or a misogynist. They voted because they needed help in their everyday lives.
But Sarah,
the majority of this country, because
there's
every stat coming out on the people willing to self-reflect are showing these.
Oh, wait, they're going to say...
But let me pause for a second and give a charitable reading to Sunny Hostin for once. Let's assume that misogyny and racism is what truly propelled Donald Trump to victory. Well, in that case, she's got a really hard case to make. Have African American and Latino voters turned racist? Have women turned more misogynist in the last 4 years? If you're reading the stats of this election purely through the lens of identity, that's the absurd conclusion that you would come to. 71% of Latinos voted for Barack Obama back in 2012. That percentage fell to 66% for Hillary Clinton in 2016 and remained similar in 2020, but it fell to the low 50s in this election when Donald Trump picked up a pretty impressive 46% of the Latino American vote. It's a similar trend to the right you see with the African American vote as well as the female voter base that have moved further to the right than the last two elections. All of that cannot be an accident, and I think the kind of attitude that Sunny Hostin displays here of almost feeling an entitlement to the minority vote is exactly what turned them off this time from voting Democrat. And don't be thinking that this is an isolated example. Here's Joe Scarboro in conversation with Al Sharpton after the election, basically throwing African American and Latino voters under the bus and calling them racists and misogynists for not voting Harris.
I just say, Rev, really quickly, too, Democrats need to be mature and they need to be honest. And they need to say, yes, there's misogyny. But it's not just misogyny from white men. Mm-hmm. It's misogyny from Hispanic men.
Right.
It's misogyny from black men, things we've all been talking about, who do not want a woman leading them. Might be race issues with Hispanics. They don't want a black woman as president of the United States. You know, the Democratic Party, I've always found when you're sitting around talking, they love to just sort of balkanize everybody into these separate groups and say, oh, white people don't like women and black people. No, it is time for the Democrats to say, okay, and you and I have talked about this before, a lot of Hispanic voters have problems with black candidates.
Right.
A lot
and
of,
with other Hispanics. You've got some that don't like each other.
So let me get this straight. In the mind of a modern leftist that has put on the blinders of identity, you're either a Democrat voter or you're an evil racist and misogynist, because there is no other reason why voters would be turned off to the current administration or wouldn't want 4 more years of it. Not the 25% aggregate inflation, millions of illegal immigrants, and multiple foreign wars, including a disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal. Truly unbelievable to think that's the kind of narcissism that runs through the modern left, whether it be the deep party establishment or the media arms that cover it for now. I think what you're seeing happen on The View and how it devolved into insanity when someone dares point it out is exactly a microcosm of the much larger problem with the Democratic message. And you know what? This election and its aftermath have proved that they've not ever learned a lesson, and that means that unless there's immediate course correction, the Democrats are looking at a similar loss in 2028, especially if Donald Trump can deliver on even half of his campaign promises. Meanwhile, the ladies on The View will still be pulling at each other's hair and shouting down their ill-informed takes to a confused cacophony.
Every racist and misogynist voted for Donald Trump. Not everyone that voted for Donald Trump was a racist and misogynist.
I agree with that.
Everyone swept. They swept every category, and the reason they did is to say, hey guys, no excuses this time.
Yeah. Look,
they lost everything.
There's still half the country that
allows its
doesn't agree with
environment to
him.
be ravaged, its children to be shot, its wealth to be hoarded, its worker to be exploited, its poor to starve, its cops to murder.
So you think America's
it's a
the
country
problem?
in trouble.
So America's the problem, and the
Trump is
voters
not
are
going to
the
make it.
problem.
I'm sure Sunny had that line prepared, but the bad news is that it still doesn't help her case. There's one bottom line to this election's outcome that is an absolute brick wall that you will run into every time you try to deny its existence. It's that a majority of America came out of their homes to give Donald Trump a near clean sweep to the popular vote, electoral vote, House, Senate, and all of the swing states. That's the voters shouting and screaming to the Democrats that despite all of the list of prepared attacks they may have prepared against Donald Trump, there's still a redeeming quality about him that the Democratic Party does not have, and it's that they believe he's still the right guy in office to rein in inflation and end foreign conflict. Sunny's so disconnected from that reality that she's instead choosing to run straight into the brick wall after denying it exists, and perhaps that describes the Democratic Party at large right now. But let me know in the comments what you thought about this entire dramatic exchange and share this across your media to get the word out. It's truly fascinating to see just how unhinged the View panel can get when they are left with no room to escape other than accepting the fate of their side of the political aisle has messed up big time.